I want you to just picture a scene for a second. It's Saturday night. You're on a date.
Okay.
Maybe it's a third date, so the stakes are starting to feel a little bit real.
Yeah.
You're in a nice restaurant, low light, maybe some jazz playing, a candle flickering on the table.
The classic setup.
Exactly. And you're looking across at this person, and everything just feels right. You know, you're laughing at their jokes, even the bad ones. You feel this pull, this electricity in the air.
We call it chemistry.
We call it chemistry. We call it romance. We write songs about it. We think it's this, like, elevated spiritual connection of two souls finding each other.
It's a beautiful picture. It's basically the plot of every rom-com ever made.
It is. It's poetry. But today, we're going to ruin that date for you.
Oh.
We're going to blow out that candle and turn on the harshest, most fluorescent lights of biology. Because if we actually look at what's happening in that moment, if we zoom in past the smiles and the conversation and get down to the molecular level, that electricity isn't spiritual. It's not destiny.
No, it's more like a biological hostage situation.
That is exactly what it is. Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're exploring a stack of research that suggests your free will, specifically when it comes to who you love and who you lust after, is pretty much an illusion.
We are looking at the biological machinery of attraction. And I should warn you, this isn't the hearts and flowers version of love.
No, this is the sticky, smelly, microscopic version.
It's the version that involves sweat and germs and your immune system. We're stripping away the poetry to look at the mechanics, and the mechanics are fascinating, but they are also a little bit disturbing.
Disturbing is a very polite way to put it. We're diving into a topic we're calling love stinks. We're going to find out why you might be attracted to a total jerk, and why that's not some psychological flaw, but actually a survival strategy.
We're also going to look at how birth control pills might be completely rewiring your brain's ability to choose a compatible partner.
Yeah, potentially leading you to marry the wrong person, biologically speaking. And we're going to finally answer the age-old question of why we have armpit hair.
It's a journey, really, from the microscopic war happening inside your cells to the very real-world decisions about who you wake up next to.
So let's start with this concept the research calls the invisible puppeteer. It opens with this really aggressive idea. My mind is controlled by invisible forces. Now, I consider myself a pretty autonomous person. You know, I choose my breakfast, I choose my Netflix shows, I choose my partners.
We all think we do.
But this research is saying, no, you don't. Not really.
Well, think about the animal kingdom for a second. If you look at moths or ants or even mammals like mice, they're constantly dancing on the strings of chemical signals. A female moth releases a pheromone, and a male moth miles away drops everything.
Right.
He doesn't think about it. He doesn't swipe right. He just goes. It's a biological imperative. He is, in a very real sense, being piloted by that scent.
But we're not moths. We have brains. We have complex thoughts. We have standards. I don't just smell someone and turn into, like, a zombie.
You don't think you do. That's the trick. Homo sapiens, we detect these chemical signals, these pheromones, unconsciously. You don't walk into a room, sniff the air, and go, ah, yes, I detect the presence of a compatible mate. You walk into a room and you just feel a vibe. You feel a spark. You say, I don't know what it is, but I just really click with him.
So that spark is just my conscious brain scrambling to come up with a story for a chemical hijack.
Essentially, yes. Your brain is the press secretary trying to explain the decisions your body has already made, and it all starts with smell.
Yeah.
But not the smell of Chanel No. 5 or Old Spice. We're talking about the raw, biological scent of a human being.
Okay, let's get into the gross part right away, because the research makes a very specific point here about what we're actually smelling when we smell a person. We think we're smelling them. You know, that musky, lived-in smell of a partner's T-shirt.
Right, the scent of a man or the scent of a woman. That classic idea.
But the research says that pheromones themselves, these chemical messengers, they don't actually have a smell.
That's correct. True pheromones are often odorless to the conscious nose. They trigger what's called the VNO, the vomeronasal organ, or other receptors without registering as a smell, like coffee or bacon. But what we do smell, that musky body odor,
Oh, here it comes.
That is the flatulence of bacteria.
I hate that phrase so much. Bacterial flatulence. It ruins everything.
But it's accurate. Listen, fresh sweat, the kind that comes out of your eccrine glands when you're just hot, it's mostly water and salt. It's
Yeah.
odorless. You could drink a glass of fresh sweat and it wouldn't smell like body odor.
I'm not going to do that, but I take your point. I will not be drinking a glass of fresh sweat.
But then you have the apocrine glands. These are in your armpits, your groin. They produce a different kind of sweat, a milky, protein-rich fluid. And on your skin, you have a microbiome, billions of bacteria, specifically things like Corium bacterium. And they see that protein-rich sweat, and to them, it's a buffet. They eat it, they digest it, and then they excrete waste products.
So when I lean in to smell a guy's neck, and I'm thinking, you smell so masculine and sexy, I am literally inhaling the waste products of millions of microscopic bugs feasting on his secretions.
You are inhaling the metabolic byproducts of a bacterial feast. Yes.
That is genuinely the least romantic thing I have ever heard. Why on earth would evolution wire us to find bug poop sexy?
Because that bug poop, as you so delicately put it, is a billboard. It's advertising data. The specific mix of bacteria you have and the specific smell they produce is all determined by your genetics and, crucially, your immune system.
Ah, okay.
You aren't selling the bacteria for the sake of the bacteria. You're smelling the immune system through the medium of the bacteria.
So it's a signal. It's like a biological resume.
Exactly. And this brings us right to what the source calls the jerk paradox.
I feel like this is going to be personal for a lot of people listening.
I think everyone has that friend, or maybe is that friend, who dates someone that, logically, is a terrible choice. He's rude, he's volatile, he's a jerk. But there is this overwhelming physical attraction. You just can't quit him.
And the usual explanation is psychological, right? Oh, I have daddy issues, or I think I can fix him, or I just like the bad boy vibe.
Right. But the biology suggests something else is going on. These pheromones and body odors are advertising the strength of an immune system. High testosterone, for example, is linked to certain behaviors. Dominance, aggression, risk-taking.
All the jerk behaviors.
Exactly. But it's also linked to a very robust constitution. That jerk might be socially unpleasant, but chemically, he smells like he could survive the bubonic plague.
So my conscious brain is saying he's going to embarrass me at dinner, but my ovaries are saying he is going to give us babies that can fight off cholera.
Precisely. It's a trade-off. Your biology is prioritizing genetic survival over social harmony. And the research notes this is particularly acute for women, and it depends on where they are in their cycle.
Quite the ovulation factor.
When a woman is ovulating, when she is at peak fertility, her sense of smell becomes significantly sharper. It's like a radar system powering up. She becomes hypersensitive to these immune signals.
She's on the hunt.
She is hunting for a specific genetic profile. And often the profile that smells the best biologically belongs to the guy with the highest testosterone, who might also happen to be the biggest jerk.
So it's not bad judgment.
Yeah.
It's actually excellent genetic scouting. I'm not making bad decisions. I'm just a victim of my own high-functioning biological radar.
You can tell yourself that next time you're crying over a guy who texted you at 2 a.m. and then ghosted. Well, at least he had a great immune system.
It's cold comfort, but it's something. Okay, but let's dig deeper on this immune system thing, because it's easy to say we smell immune systems, but how do we actually know that? It feels a bit like a just so story. Oh, the leopard got its spots because... How do you prove that humans are sniffing out white blood cells?
This is where we get to the t-shirt experiment. This is one of the most famous and, frankly, one of the weirdest experiments in the history of evolutionary psychology.
Yeah, this one is wild.
It was conducted by a Swiss zoologist named Klaus Wedekind back in the 90s.
And he started with fish, didn't he?
He was a fish guy. He was studying sticklebacks. And he noticed that these fish were very, very particular about who they mated with, and it was based on smell. But obviously there's a bit of a language barrier with fish.
You can't ask a stickleback. So what was it? Was it his scales, his personality?
Exactly. Why did you swipe left on that guy? So Wedekind thought, well, humans are animals. Maybe the same mechanism applies to us. So he set up this study using humans as a proxy for fish behavior.
I love that. We're just stand-ins for fish in this whole scenario.
We're just hairless, upright fish. So here's the setup. He gets 44 men. And he gives them a mission. He gives each of them a clean cotton t-shirt.
Right.
And he tells them, you have to wear this shirt for 2 nights in a row. You cannot use deodorant. You cannot use cologne. You cannot use perfumed soap.
No spicy food, no garlic, no onions.
No smoking, no drinking alcohol, no sex.
Basically, you have to become a monk, a smelly, sweaty monk.
He wanted their pure, natural, baseline scent, the ode to biology. So these guys wear these shirts, they sleep in them, they sweat in them, they just marinate in them for 2 days.
And the men were okay with this.
The study actually notes that the men found the instructions quite natural.
Of course they did. You mean I don't have to shower or do my laundry? Sign me up. Best weekend ever.
So after 2 days, they bring the shirts back. Wedekind takes these shirts, which the study officially describes as fetid, by the way,
Fetid.
and he puts them into plastic bags or jars with a little sniffing port, and then he brings in the women.
The brave, brave volunteers.
He brings in 49 women, and he sits them down in front of these boxes, and one by one, they have to stick their nose in the hole and take a deep whiff of a stranger's 2-day-old armpit sweat.
Just imagine the Craigslist ad for that study.
Yeah.
Wanted. Women with strong stomachs to smell mystery bags of dirty laundry.
And yet, the results were not what you'd expect. You'd think everyone would just say, gross, they all smell like old gym socks. But that is not what happened at all. The women were completely polarized.
Polarized how? Exactly.
Some shirts, a woman would smell it and just recoil. She'd say, that is disgusting. That smells like rotting vegetables. I hate it. But then she'd move to the next box, which had sweat from a different guy, and she'd pause. She'd smell it and say, actually, this one is kind of nice.
Nice. Like, smells like flowers nice.
No, more like intriguing nice, sexy nice. Some women even said a specific shirt reminded them of their boyfriend or an ex-lover. They felt a genuine pull toward it. And the crazy thing was, the shirt that woman A loved, woman B would find totally repulsive, and the shirt woman B loved, woman A would hate.
So attraction really is in the nose of the beholder.
But it wasn't random. This is the breakthrough. This is the key. Wedekind didn't just collect sweat, he collected blood from everyone. He analyzed the DNA of every participant, looking at a specific group of genes called the MHC.
Okay, let's unpack this. MHC. 3 letters that apparently run my entire love life.
Major histocompatibility complex.
That sounds like a government agency.
It does, doesn't it? But think of your MHC genes as your body's internal security team. Every cell in your body has a surface, and the MHC genes create the ID badges for that surface. They tell your immune system what is self and what is an invader.
So they're the bouncers at the nightclub of my body.
That's a perfect analogy. And your specific set of MHC genes determines which diseases you can fight off really well. Maybe my MHC is great at recognizing the flu virus. Maybe yours is really good at recognizing malaria. We all have different security clearance setups.
So what did Wedekind find when he compared the genes to the smell preferences?
He found a perfect inverse correlation. Women were most attracted to the smell of men whose MHC genes were most different from their own.
Different is good.
Different is sexy. When a woman smelled a shirt from a guy with a similar immune system, someone whose security team looked just like hers, she was repulsed. She hated the smell. It smelled like family. It smelled like a brother.
Which is nature's very unsubtle way of saying, do not hook up with this person.
Exactly. It's a built-in incest avoidance mechanism. But when she smelled a guy with a dissimilar immune system, a guy who could fight diseases that she couldn't, she loved it. The research says it got them grinning and giggling.
They're grinning and giggling over a bag of sweat. That is unbelievable.
It creates what the source calls the soulmate illusion. You meet someone and you have this overwhelming feeling of completion. You feel like they're your other half. You feel like they fill in your blanks.
And poetically, we think that means our emotional blanks, like, I'm chaotic, he's steady.
But biologically, they are literally filling in your immune system's blanks. Your body is sensing on a deep chemical level, hey, this guy has the antibodies for the Black Death and I don't. We need to lock this down immediately.
That really takes the romance down a few notches. I love you because your white blood cells are completely unlike mine.
Not romantic, but very, very pragmatic.
But wait, why is this so important? Why does nature care so much about us having different immune systems that it built this whole elaborate smell-based radar system?
This brings us to the next big idea, the evolutionary arms race. We have to zoom out for a second. We tend to think of human history as humans fighting lions or humans fighting other humans.
Right.
But the real war, the war that has killed more humans than anything else in history, is the war against germs.
The microscopic war.
Exactly. The source points out that half the cells inside your body right now are not actually human. They're bacteria, parasites, fungi. We are, as the text says, walking ecosystems.
Thanks, I hate that.
It's true. And here's the problem for us. Germs, bacteria, and viruses, they reproduce incredibly fast. A bacterium can go through a new generation in 20 minutes. In the time it takes you to have one child, a pathogen has gone through thousands and thousands of generations of evolution.
So they are evolving way, way faster than we are.
So much faster. They are constantly trying to pick our locks. They are mutating to figure out how to get past our MHC security team. This is the Red Queen hypothesis. We have to run as fast as we can just to stay in the same place.
So if we just cloned ourselves, if we reproduced asexually,
We'd be dead. We'd be wiped out. If we were all genetically identical with the same immune locks, one super germ would eventually figure out the key. And once it unlocked one of us, it would unlock all of us. Extinction.
So sex, the act of mixing genes, is basically a strategy to shuffle the deck.
That is the biological reason for sex. By mixing your genes with someone who has a different immune system, you create a child with a brand new, unique combination of locks. You are creating a puzzle that the germs have never seen before.
So when I'm looking for a partner, I'm not just looking for a companion. I'm actually looking for a co-conspirator to confuse bacteria.
You're looking for a genetic upgrade for your offspring. The text has this great line. The most attractive thing about a man is his white blood cells.
I really feel like I need to update my dating profile. Must have. Specific MHC alleles different from mine. Also, no narcissists.
It also helps explain why, evolutionarily, women are often the choosier sex. The research suggests men are more visual, looking for signs of fertility, youth, health. But women are chemical. They're the gatekeepers of the immune system. They're the ones investing 9 months in pregnancy, so they need to make sure the genetic payload is worth it.
Which is why women often say, I can't explain it, I just didn't feel it. And the guy's like, but I checked all the boxes, I have a good job, I'm tall.
And she's thinking, yeah, but your MHC genes are too similar to mine, sorry. It's all subconscious data processing.
Bahana, and here's the giant record scratch. We have done something in the last 60 years or so that might be completely breaking this ancient, finely tuned system.
The glitch in the matrix.
The pill.
This is the part of the deep dive that genuinely scares me. It's the plot twist in the horror movie.
So Wedekind, after finding out that women prefer the smell of different immune systems, he decided to run the t-shirt test again. But this time, he included a group of women who were taking hormonal birth control.
And the results just flipped. It was a complete reversal.
Like complete as in 100% the opposite.
A statistically significant reversal, yes. Women on the pill were no longer attracted to the complementary, different immune systems. They started preferring the smells of men who had immune systems similar to their own.
That is terrifying. Why? What is the pill doing to cause that?
To understand the why, you have to understand how the pill works. Most hormonal birth control works by convincing your body that it's already pregnant. It keeps your hormone levels, progesterone, specifically at a steady, high state that mimics early pregnancy.
Okay, so the body thinks, I'm pregnant. No need to release another egg.
Exactly. Now think about the evolutionary logic. When you're fertile and looking for a mate, you want genes, you want genetic diversity, you want the stud, you want the sexy, different-smelling guy to give your baby the strongest immunity.
Got it. Gene-seeking mode.
But when you're pregnant, you don't need sperm. You're done with that part of the mission. What do you need?
You need help. You need snacks. You need safety and protection.
You need resources and support.
Yeah.
And in the Paleolithic era, who is going to help you raise a baby? Who's going to share their mammoth meat with you?
Your family, your kin.
Your blood relatives, people who share your genes and therefore smell similar to you. So the pregnant brain, and by extension the brain on the pill, shifts its preference towards similarity. It wants to be surrounded by people who smell like kin, because kin equals safety.
So if I'm on the pill, my body is in nest mode. I'm not looking for a genetic match. I'm looking for a nice, safe brother figure to help me build the nest.
Correct. You are chemically blocking the gene-seeking radar, and you're turning on the family-seeking radar instead.
Okay, let's play this out in the real world, because the implications here are massive. Let's say I start taking the pill at 18. I date through my 20s. I meet a guy, and he smells great. He feels safe. He feels like home. We have this lovely, cozy connection.
Because his immune system is similar to yours, and your brain is in that kin mode.
Right. So we get married. We buy a house. And then at 30, we decide, okay, let's have a baby. So I stop taking the pill.
And the chemical fog lifts.
My hormones crash back to their natural cycle. My body realizes, wait, I'm not pregnant. I need to find a mate. It turns that old MHC radar back on. And suddenly I look at the man lying next to me in bed.
And he doesn't smell sexy anymore. He smells like your brother, or he smells boring, or in some reported cases, he actually smells repulsive.
That is a relationship nightmare.
There are researchers who speculate that this could be a major contributing factor to divorce rates, or that feeling of the spark is gone in marriages, especially after a couple decides to have kids. The woman comes off the pill, and suddenly the biological chemistry that held the whole thing together just evaporates.
It's a chemical bait and switch.
It's not malicious, but it's tragic.
Yeah.
You made a lifelong commitment based on a hormonal state that was artificial. And when you return to your natural biological state, the hardware doesn't match the software anymore.
So what's the advice here? Stop taking the pill before you get married.
The excerpt in the source material actually suggests that, or at least maybe use a non-hormonal method for a while before you sign the marriage license. Go off the pill, let your cycle return to normal, and then smell him.
Oh my God.
If he still smells good when you're ovulating, then it's probably real. If he suddenly smells like a damp basement, maybe you should reconsider.
That is the most practical and yet deeply unromantic advice I have ever heard. Honey, before we book the venue, I need to go off my meds and just sniff your armpit for a month.
It's better than a divorce 5 years down the line.
That is true. Now, speaking of practical advice, the source also mentions that men can use this smell sensitivity to their advantage, or at least to understand what's going on. They call it the rhythm method hack.
This is a bit explicit in the source, but the behavioral science behind it is sound.
Break it down for us.
Okay, so since we know a woman's sense of smell changes so dramatically with her cycle, a man can watch how his partner reacts to his natural body odor.
Okay.
If she comes home, buries her face in his sweaty gym shirt, and acts like it's the best thing she's ever smelled, if she is, and I'm quoting the text here, rolling around on the pillowcase like it's catnip,
Oh no.
that is a red alert.
She is ovulating.
She is hunting for genes. She is at peak fertility. If you do not want a baby, that is the danger zone.
And what's the flip side?
If she picks up your socks from the floor, looks at you with genuine disgust and says, "You are gross, put these in the hamper immediately," that usually signals the progesterone phase, the safe phase.
Right.
She isn't looking for genes. She's looking for hygiene and a clean nest.
So attraction is a warning sign and repulsion is a safety light. That is incredibly confusing for men. She hates me, so it's safe to sleep with her.
She hates your smell, so you can probably sleep with her without creating a child. Yes.
The source also gets a little philosophical here about contraception in general. It has a line, "The dick is designed to despise impediments."
Yes, a direct quote. It frames the male reproductive drive as this relentless biological force. Any barrier condom's withdrawal, it goes against millions of years of programming. The body wants to mix those genes. It wants to fight the bacteria. When we use technology to stop that, we create this deep friction between our conscious goals, like no babies, and our biological goals, like survival of the species.
It's a constant war between the brain and the groin.
A war that the groin often wins, unfortunately, for our 5-year plans.
Speaking of body parts that we don't fully understand, let's talk about the armpit.
The pit, yes.
I mean, I have spent my entire adult life shaving mine. I think most women have. And a lot of men do now too. But when you look at it biologically, we're hairless apes. We lost the fur on our backs, our chests, our legs for the most part. But we kept these thick patches of hair in the armpits and the groin. Why? It doesn't keep us warm. It doesn't protect us from the sun.
This technology.
It's a scent wick. Think of a candle. The wax is the fuel, but the wick is what allows it to burn and release the light and the scent. Armpit hair creates a huge amount of surface area.
Okay, I see where you're going.
If your armpit was smooth, the sweat and the bacteria would just drip down your side or evaporate pretty quickly. But the hair traps it. It holds the moisture. It stays warm and damp. It creates the perfect incubator for those bacteria we talked about to have their feast.
So my armpit hair is basically a petri dish for the bacterial boop factory.
It's a diffuser. It allows the scent to linger and to radiate outwards. It amplifies the signal.
The text makes a little joke here about the French. A bit of a stereotype, yeah.
Yeah.
But it suggests that the whole sexy French trope might be linked to a cultural history of being less aggressive about shaving and deodorizing. They were allowing the wick to do its work, and so more pheromonal signaling was happening.
And what exactly is the signal coming off that wick? We've talked about immune systems, but there's a specific chemical that gets mentioned, androstenol.
Androstenol, yes. This is a chemical found in fresh sweat and also in urine, and the research suggests it acts as a really powerful social lubricant, almost an aphrodisiac in some contexts.
And they did a study on this involving Necklaces, right?
The necklace study. This is a classic example of how these chemicals can just bypass our logic entirely. So researchers took 76 college students. They gave them all necklaces to wear for a day.
A fashion statement.
Some of them were just plain normal necklaces, but others were secretly laced with androstenol. And then they just sent these students out into the wild to live their lives, go to class, go to parties, hang out.
And what happened?
For the men wearing the necklaces, nothing. No change in how women treated them, no change in how other men treated them.
Wow.
For women interacting with other women, also nothing. But for the women wearing the androstenol necklaces, their interactions with men changed dramatically.
In what way?
The frequency of their interactions with men doubled. The duration of their conversations with men doubled. But the really crazy part is the qualitative data. When asked afterwards, the women reported that their conversations with men felt deeper. They rated the men as more interesting, more engaging, more soulful.
Wait a second. The woman is wearing the smell, and it makes her think the guy is more interesting.
Exactly. It's a self-fulfilling loop. The scent probably made the men a bit more attentive on an unconscious level, but it also intoxicated the women. It made them perceive this depth of connection that wasn't really there.
So they're thinking, wow, we talked for hours about the meaning of life.
And really, they were just high on androstenol.
The source calls this the deep conversation illusion.
It's hilarious. You have these women convinced they are pair bonding with these profound philosophical guys, but really it's just a chemical trick. The guy hasn't changed. He's the same boring guy from math class. But you add androstenol, and suddenly he's Shakespeare.
The host in the source material jokes about trying to get a date's nose into his armpit so she'll find his philosophy deep.
Here, smell this. Now let me tell you my thoughts on late-stage capitalism.
But there's a real mechanism here, right? This could explain cuddling.
Absolutely. The proximity rule. The text emphasizes that humans aren't like moths. We don't smell these key pheromones from across a room. You have to be close, like within 18 inches.
The intimacy zone.
Exactly. So think about the behavior of lovers. Cuddling, spooning, sleeping with your head on someone's chest. Where is your nose in all of those positions?
Right in the pit.
Right in the androstenol factory. The evolutionary purpose of cuddling might not just be about warmth or affection. It might be a very practical way to get the female's nose right into the chemical source to reinforce the pair bond. It's like a maintenance dose.
Don't leave me. Here, smell this.
Smell my immune system. Remember why you like me.
Okay, but we have to issue a serious warning here, because I know there's a listener out there right now thinking, I'll just buy some synthetic androstenol and spray it on myself before I go to the club.
Please do not do that.
Why not?
Because androstenol is not unique to humans. It is found in other mammals, specifically pigs.
Pigs.
So female pigs are absolutely obsessed with androstenol. If a sow smells it, she immediately assumes the mating posture. She just freezes and arches her back. It is, for lack of a better term, pig catnip.
And what about the alpine ibex?
The alpine ibex, a type of mountain goat, uses a similar strategy. The alpha male literally pees on his own beard and chest to coat himself in this scent to attract the female.
That is just so disgusting.
It works for the ibex. But for a human male, if you douse yourself in androstenol, you might attract a woman. Or if you happen to be near a farm, you might attract a very enthusiastic pig.
Warning, may cause stampede of livestock.
The source explicitly warns against the urine method. Please stick to showering, or not showering if that's your strategy, but do not pee on yourself.
Solid life advice. Okay, we're coming into the final stretch here. We've talked about all the raw biology, but we have to talk about how this collides with the real world, because we don't live in caves anymore. We live in a world of mortgages and careers and monogamy.
And this is the central conflict between genes and resources.
The source uses some slightly dated terms, the wife strategy and the concubine strategy, but let's modernize that. It's essentially long-term versus short-term mating strategies.
Right, and this is the central dilemma for female evolution, according to this theory. On one hand, you want the absolute best genes for your baby. You want the high MHC, high testosterone, disease-resistant jerk.
The short-term strategy, the concubine choice, the genetic jackpot.
But on the other hand, human babies are incredibly helpless. They take years and years to raise. You can't just drop them in the grass and have them walk away like a gazelle. You need help. You need food. You need shelter. You need a partner who is stable, reliable, and who sticks around.
The long-term strategy, the husband material, the provider.
And often, not always, but often, these two sets of traits do not overlap in the same man. The high testosterone, risk-taking, immune system champion might be too volatile to stick around and change diapers. And the stable, reliable, safe guy might not have that genetic spark that makes your biology scream, yes.
The text has a pretty brutal quote. If he's got a good immune system, he doesn't need a job.
Evolutionarily speaking, that's kind of true. If his genes are good enough, he doesn't need to provide resources. The genes are the resource. But in modern society, you can't pay your rent with white blood cells.
So women are constantly unconsciously balancing this equation. Do I go for the hot guy who might leave or the nice guy who will stay?
And this leads us to the dark side of the discussion, infidelity.
The cheating stats.
The source points out something that's a bit counterintuitive. We tend to think single people have the most sex. But actually, married people have the most sex, just by virtue of availability. Single people come in second. And people who are having affairs, they have the least sex of all.
Because it's a logistical nightmare.
It's just hard to schedule, so why do it? Why take the enormous risk?
For men, the biology seems simple, right? Spread the seed.
Quantity over quality. If a man sleeps with 100 women, he could theoretically have 100 children. His genetic legacy is massive.
But for women, a woman can sleep with 100 men in a year, and she can still only have 1, maybe 2 pregnancies. So the quantity argument doesn't really work for her. So why does biology drive women to cheat?
The source suggests it's the dual mating strategy. It's the idea of getting the best of both worlds. You secure the provider husband for the resources and the safety, but then during that brief, critical window of ovulation, you might sneak off with the gene lover to get the superior DNA.
That is so Machiavellian. It's
Yeah.
like cougar bird behavior.
But it's not conscious. I really want to be clear about that. Most people aren't sitting there with a spreadsheet calculating MHC alleles. But the biological urge, that sudden dissatisfaction with the safe partner and the sudden craving for the exciting partner during ovulation, that can drive the behavior.
And the source mentions a mechanism called the orgasm trick. This is controversial, but explain it.
This is the upsuck theory. The idea is that the female orgasm isn't just for pleasure, it has a mechanical function. The muscular contractions of the orgasm actually create a kind of vacuum effect, sucking sperm up through the cervix and into the uterus.
Okay.
The theory goes that women are more likely to orgasm with men they find highly attractive, the good genes men. Therefore, their body is biologically biasing the race. If she sleeps with her husband and doesn't orgasm, but then sleeps with her lover and does, she is physically helping the lover's sperm win the race to the egg.
It's the body rigging the lottery.
Exactly.
The source also mentions one last thing about armpits and cycles, that sleeping in a man's armpit can actually cure medical issues.
Erratic menstrual cycles, yeah. There were studies showing that women with irregular cycles who were exposed to male armpit extract, or who just started sleeping with a man, saw their cycles regulate and become more predictable.
Because the smell signals safety.
It signals male present, reproduction is possible. The body sort of gets its act together because it thinks a baby might be a possibility soon. According to the text, it worked better than some fertility drugs.
Wow. Love really is the pits.
It really, truly is.
We've covered a massive amount of ground today. I mean, we've gone from bacterial farts to sniffing T-shirts. We've learned that the pill might be deceiving our noses into choosing the wrong mate.
We've learned that armpit hair is basically a flavor saver for pheromones.
And we've learned that we were all just, unwitting puppets in a play written by bacteria.
It's a very humbling perspective. We like to think we're the main characters. We think we're poets and philosophers, but really, we are just walking ecosystems trying to shuffle our genes before we die.
That's the core message, isn't it? The why of it all.
It's the war. We are locked in this eternal arms race against pathogens. Every time you find someone attractive, every time you kiss someone, every time you drag someone into the bedroom, you're making a move in that war. You're trying to create a fortress that the germs can't breach.
So what is the takeaway for the listener, aside from maybe looking at their spouse with a little more suspicion tonight?
I think it's about awareness. And maybe a little forgiveness. Forgiveness for yourself. If you've ever made a bad romantic choice, if you've ever felt crazy because of a crush you couldn't explain, if you've ever lost attraction to someone you really loved, it's not because you're broken. It's because you're biological.
Right.
Your body is running a program that is millions of years old, and it doesn't always care about your modern happiness. It cares about survival.
That is actually really comforting. It's not me, it's my MHC.
Exactly.
The source ends with a bit of military counsel for the human race. It's like a rallying cry.
Keep boinking. The germs are trying to pick our locks.
I think we need to put that on a billboard. Keep boinking.
It's a medical directive.
It is. So here's our final provocative thought for you, the listener. The next time you feel that spark, the next time you lock eyes with someone across a bar, or you lean in to smell your partner's neck, just ask yourself a question.
Is this true love? Is this the meeting of two souls destined for eternity?
Or does your immune system just need a software update?
And if you're on the pill, maybe take a month off and double-check the data before you buy the ring.
Trust your nose, folks. It knows more than you do. Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive.
Stay safe and keep evolving.
See you next time.